Doo-doo-doo-doo. Are we live? Hola, mis amores. How is your spirit today? How are you feeling? Let's do a vibe check. Let's check in with ourselves. Take a moment and pause and take a deep breath in and feel what's present for you, what's present in your heart. It's good to check with our vibes, y'all, because we just be out here all day, every day, being everything for everybody at every moment, and we're not checking with ourselves. And when we check with ourselves, we're able to tap into a part of ourselves that's usually yearning for our attention. So today we're going to be talking to an icon, an amazing being, enlighten the world, and she's going to share her journey into stepping up to herself and showing up more powerfully with the babies. And this is someone that I'm excited that she's here because she's going to show you what's possible when you are willing to show up for yourself and to be uncomfortable for yourself, even with the family, with the kid and the dog and everything else, and what that transformation looks like. If we are meeting for the first time, my name is January Pouncil. I am a spiritual teacher and guide to intuitive leaders that are being the most authentic version of themselves. These are the people that are prioritizing their self-care and doing it with joy, with peace, and with compassion. And it's a gift because many of us are walking and desiring to prioritize ourselves first, prioritize our joy, prioritize our inner peace, prioritize what lights us up, what lights us on fire. And I've been gifted with the opportunity to serve in this way. And it's amazing. And those of you that are watching and already know that I am your person, listen, you know what to do. There's a link above this video. You need to just click on that link and come over here, book a we call them now authenticity audits. Book an authenticity audit with me, and we're going to take a look at where you are, what's impacting your ability to show up powerfully. And then we're going to talk about what it takes to remove those blocks so that you can live your life as peacefully and joyfully as possible. Because why not? Life is meant to be enjoyed. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to one of my amazing clients. This woman is such a freaking light. And I hope that you have your journal ready because Elena be dropping gems. She don't be realizing how many gems she be dropping, but she be dropping gems. So grab your journal, grab your water bottle. Make sure you apply for authenticity audit session with me if you know that I'm your person. And let's bring her on. Purr. Hello, Elena. And baby in the corner. I just love that so much.
Hiding over here.
I love that she's in the corner. Like, it reminds me of Sage when Sage used to be with me on the calls and just in the corner right there. So I'm so glad that like she's here. Elena, introduce yourself. Tell the people a little bit about you.
My name's Elena. I have been working with Nori for about a year. And in the last year, I have had a career change, stepping back from full-time stressed to business owner, to non-business owner, to a part-time position, and mother of 4. And that's about it. It's a bit busy life, but fulfilled and
Yes.
progressing to being even more so.
Ooh, I love it. You know what? You said 4. Why I thought you had 6 kids, Elena?
I don't know. I don't have 6, and I don't think that's in the cards. So
I'm here thinking you had whole 6 kids. I'm like, I wrote 6 kids somewhere. So if you see 6 kids, I'm incorrect. She has 4 kids.
4, yes, 6 in our family.
Oh,
It's
6 in the
6
family.
people.
Yeah, 6 in total. Well, Elena, I'm glad that you're here and that you can talk to what it's like to be your journey. I feel like people are gonna really benefit from like hearing you because having 4 kids, having a partner and a dog and being a head of household in the way that y'all partnered together, like there's a lot that has occurred in the last year for you. And it's important to like see what that journey's like because I know that people watching, y'all might be considering changing your career, having a baby, expanding your family in a different direction. So I feel like you can really illuminate into folks what that's like because you've been in it this entire year. So tell us a little bit about where were you before we started working together?
So I worked as a paralegal at a defense law firm, and I loved my job. It was quite stressful though, because I am very committed to my job. So I found that I was thinking about work when I was at home, when I'm making dinner, when I'm trying to do bedtime, in the shower, all the time. It was on my mind. That being said, I also feel like I have strong um, maternal instinct and want to be that for my family as well. And so when I was at work, I was thinking about my home life and my kids and my husband and what's for dinner and when is the dog getting walked and just all the things. And so I was pulled in both directions, trying to mentally keep track of it all. And there's only so much that my brain can do and keep track of. And so I was stressed trying to fit it all in and felt like I was the sole person responsible. I had to do it all. I had to be the one cleaning my house and making the grocery list and two steps ahead of the attorney that I worked for. And so I was just in a very stressful place in my life a year ago. I had even gone to the point of trying to start my own business, so that I was doing that part time on the side of my full time job, as an idea of how to gradually get out of the full time. Turned out I then got pregnant with our new baby, and I decided that the part time position, your career that I was trying to create, was not the greatest fit for me and my family, and ended up closing that business. So at the time, I guess a year ago, to answer your question, was just very stressful. And pulled like in so many directions of my own design,
Mhm.
and my overcommitment to um, people and my life at the time.
Mhm, mhm. I'm glad you share that and that you went in such detail, because that energy of I'm out of work, but I'm thinking about the house. I'm at the house, but I'm thinking about work. It is such a like real energy, especially when people like me and you that like to deliver and like to like get it done at a certain level, and it has to have a certain standard because we care and we value the people we are
And
working
that's the thing.
with.
No one was asking me to be two steps ahead of my attorney. That's
Hmm.
on totally on me to be
Hmm.
like, well, I know she is going to want this information to pass
Yeah.
to our client. So I need to have like mentally know what she's going to tell me to do before she tells me to do
Hmm.
it, and do it.
Hmm.
And that way, when she asks me, oh, can you do this? I'll have the piece of paper. I've already done it. Like that's me wanting to. So you're right. That energy of, I guess, people pleasing, or just
Yeah.
wanting that, like, not praise really, but to impress people, to feel
Hmm.
like I've got it.
That little bit of validation, that little bit like, yes, I did it, and you know that I did it, and I'm on top of my game, and I'm
Right.
feeling really like what we think is confidence, but it's really underneath masking how we
Right.
feeling about other things. So you are in this space, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling pulled, you're not being present, you are at work physically, house mentally, you are house physically, work mentally, and it is this tennis match going back and forth. And then I enter your ecosystem. I enter your world. Tell the people how I entered your world. How did we meet?
So the business that I had started was creating my own cleaning company where I did not do the cleaning but hired others to go and
Mhm,
clean. So I was managing and coordinating everyone else cleaning. And
mhm,
you came into that society that I was in and talked about your business here, and I just felt drawn. I think you were offering, a free session to
mhm,
certain
mhm.
members and put into like a little lottery type thing. And I guess our energies were drawn to one another, and you pulled my name out, and we had a brief session to kind of talk about where I was and decide if we wanted to continue throughout this year on changing my life.
Yes, and I'm glad that we had that conversation because I remember you being like, "Girl, I don't even know if I want to do all of this. I just know right now that we just want to talk about this. Help me see what's going on, and then determine where I want to head next." And it was fascinating because I remember talking to you, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm doing the business, and I don't even know if it's doing really well." And I was like, "Well, how much has your business generated?" And you told me the number, and I was like, "Girl, do you know that most businesses never even make half of that amount of money you did?" And you were like, "What? Is that true?" And
Right.
that's just what
And that
happens
only
with us.
part time. And yep, I do remember that. I was like, I don't even, because I didn't know. I was sort of like, just because I was so pulled, it
Mhm,
wasn't like I wasn't pouring all my energy into that. And so
mhm.
I'm like, oh, well, this is how it's done with this much energy.
Exactly. And that's what
Hmm.
happens with us because when we are leaders, when you're the person that likes to raise their hand when there's a question, you like to raise your hand when there's a question. You're that person. And when you move like that, you're not constantly thinking about, oh my god, am I over delivering on this project? Am I building so much out of this business in this time that I have? You're thinking about, hey, here are the things I see for this business, and here's where I am. We're not in the same place. What do I
Hmm.
need to do to get me there and not sit in that energy? And I'm glad that you talk about your decisions around the business and actually talk about the decision you wanted to make. Because in the conversation that I had with you the first time, you were like, I want in 3 months from now, I want to be able to make this decision. And I was like, girl, let's make this decision right now.
Yeah,
Talk
I
about
think we
that.
actually talked. I want to say that our first conversation was in November, maybe, or
It was
maybe
in the end of December.
December. Maybe December, because I had just started. I don't even know, but we had our conversation, and I do remember what you're talking about, that I said in 3 months, because I was running the cleaning business, and I
Mhm,
had said in 3 months I want to be able to make the decision of, am I going to quit the full-time job as a
mhm,
paralegal, or and stick with the cleaning business, or what am I going to do? Not, it was, I have to make a decision, not I would have quit by then. Just make the decision 3 months from now.
and that's how it is. Because sometimes when you are in the situations, you're like, "Oh my goodness, I I want to make a decision, but I feel like I gotta weigh all of these factors." And you are a planner. If there was an award for the planner, the icon planner of the year in our society, it would be Elena because she is a planner to the T. So you are in this state. How is this impacting your life with home, like your family? Because I know that's something you really, really care about. So being in this place of like sort of stressed and pulled, how is that impacting your family life? How is that impacting those
It was
things?
definitely, I think as a whole, we just didn't have as cohesive a family life as we would
Mhm,
want, because I was, as a lot of people do, you work 9 to 5, you've got to rush and get kids from daycare. And so I just felt like all I was doing was getting off work late, going to pick kids up, then it's dinner time.
mhm,
And I was stressed because I knew I still had 10 things I hadn't gotten to at work.
mhm,
So I'm thinking
mhm,
about that and not being able to really focus on
mhm,
my children or any of that. I was snippy. I'm trying to make dinner and they're in the kitchen, and they were, I mean, they're young, like I've 9, 8, and 5. So this is last year. And they'd be in the kitchen and mom this and mom, can we do this? And I'd be like, can you just leave the kitchen? I'm yelling at them because I'm frustrated with nothing at them, just life and stress of being pulled and not knowing how to
Mhm.
handle that. And so then they would be snippy with each other because they took that from
Mhm.
me. And
Mhm.
so just as a whole, we were, I would say, unsettled.
Such a powerful word. Because kids pick up everything, y'all. Kids' energy is honest. And if your energy is some type of way and the kids are around, the kids will mirror that joint right
They
back to
pick it
you.
up. My husband was yelling about something a couple nights ago, and Thompson, he's 9, and he went into the other room, and I said, "What are you doing in here?" He's, "I'm hiding." I said, "Why? It's
Mm.
bedtime." And he was crying. "I don't like when y'all yell," and it was just, he
Mm.
just felt it. It wasn't even like real yelling. No one was in trouble. It was just
Mhm.
sort of like, get in the bed. Like we've told y'all 20
Mhm. Mhm.
times. And he was just really took it. And so
Mhm.
seeing that really makes me see how easy they
Mhm.
pick up on all of
Yeah,
our
yeah,
emotions.
absolutely. And I also remember impacting your partner too. And you've talked a little bit about him so far. How was that impacting your relationship? Because y'all got four, well, at the time it was 3 kids
Mhm.
and you were expecting one. Because when we started working together, you were already expecting the baby. So how was the state you were in impacting your relationship?
It was, I would say, just like with the kids, I didn't really feel this great connection. We
Mhm.
fought a lot,
Mhm.
mostly about doing things like, well, why
Mhm.
can't you do this? and
Mhm.
and me feeling this like responsibility to do
Mhm.
it all because
Mhm.
he was off working, and well, I'm here in the evenings. He works a lot of
Mhm.
weekends and evenings, and so it was me sort of placing on myself yet again the that like i have to I have to pick up the kids. I have to be the one making dinner. I have
Mhm.
to do all the cleaning of the house. I'm the one that this, and then having to ask at the time, like,
Mhm.
I would have to say, well, the dishes need to be done, or even I would feel resentful when he'd
Mhm.
be doing the dishes because I took it like almost, he didn't say anything, but I remember feeling like he was doing the dishes one time and I just felt like a failure, almost like that I
Mhm.
hadn't gotten to clean the dishes yet, even
Mm.
though I'm working a full-time job, have my cleaning business, have 3 children, and he has a full-time job and 3 children too. And I just felt like that I had taken this on myself. Well, I have to do
Mhm.
all these things.
Mhm.
And so we were just fighting because then I felt like reading into these undertones of the
Mhm.
way he's washing the dishes is
Mhm.
like that he's irritated at me, and like, would he ever say that? No. And so we would be fighting, and luckily we did end up going to we were never at the point, we just weren't communicating, I guess. We weren't
Mhm.
in a place where either one of us knew how to properly
Mhm.
communicate well with one
Mhm.
another. And we've
Mhm.
been together 20 years, so we were sort of like, something's got to give. um,
'Cause
and
we ain't
we
going nowhere.
no, and we both recognize that like
Mhm.
things were changing. It's only going to get harder adding a fourth one in. We did go to marriage counseling,
Mhm.
and that helped a lot just to figure out like the differences between us, because he's
Mhm.
not doing things the way I am, and he's over
Mhm.
there doing the dishes because they need to be done. Meanwhile, I'm taking it like, oh, you're irritated that you have to do the dishes because I
Mhm.
haven't gotten to it yet. And
Yes,
so then
yes,
I have this pent up like, oh,
yes.
I feel guilty that I didn't do it. So
Mhm. Yeah,
It's
it's that energy of taking things personally and then projecting how we would receive that onto
yes,
other people. And then the emotions, they don't know that you are thinking all this. They don't know that this is all in your head. So they
yes,
begin to take over the body. And now he's minding his business, doing the dishes, and you're seething in the corner.
I am.
Because you're like, this shouldn't even be happening because this should have been done already. And now you're like planning in your head ahead on how you're going to ensure that this
Did they get
doesn't get.
done the next time? I know.
And this is what it's like to be in this space. This is an embodiment of what it's like to not see things clearly because we're just so clouded by the stress, clouded by the pulling, clouded by not being in the present moment. How did you feel about all of that? I mean, I've talked to you several times in the society about this, but like, how were you feeling about the state of your life?
I just really felt so frustrated with where I was that I didn't feel like even though I guess I felt like I'm giving 200%, but nothing is at 100%. I was just so unsure of myself and where I wanted things to go. And I knew that where I was not how I wanted things to be for the rest of my life, or even, you hear people say, "Oh, it's just this way until your kids are grown." But I didn't want that. I wanted a deeper connection with my children. I want to be a mother to them that they can come and talk to, and they were not at that point. Because they didn't want to make me mad, or I was busy doing other things. When was their time to sit and play a game or have a conversation? I want to be someone that my husband can rely on, that I can support him, that we can have these great conversations and grow together. And we were just sort of going through the motions. I was looking at my life at that time and realizing that I didn't really do anything at the time for me that much. And I missed that. And I felt, I guess, I was unhappy, but not fully unhappy. I enjoyed my job and things, and really like the activities and tasks for my job. It was just more that at the time I just didn't feel like my full self.
Mm, I just felt that. Does the baby need a moment? Do we need a baby break?
I was gonna go put her in the bassinet
Go
for.
ahead.
I think
Listen,
she might take a quick nap.
you know I got a baby, so you let me know if the baby break is necessary because y'all gonna be all right. This baby, when babies need a nap, babies need a nap.
Let me go see if she'll go down. One second.
Go ahead. While Elena takes a moment to put the baby down for a nap, y'all, this is why we're having this conversation today. Because when we are in our lives and we are pouring into other people and we are giving and giving and giving, you heard her speaking. She has a husband who they were not feeling fully in communication and in alignment with. She has 4 kids, well, 3 kids at the time, and now she has a fourth. And she wasn't feeling like she was showing up to those kids in the way that was aligned, in the way that she desires. And then there's herself, how she was looking at herself and how she was treating herself and how she was showing up to herself. And Elena and I are going to talk about what this was like for her to step outside of that and what went into that. And if you want to hear more on that, let me know in the comments below. Drop a gems in the comment below so that I know that you want to hear her share with you what has helped her get to that place. Now, while she comes back and we can resume this conversation, I want to talk to those of you that are ready for the next step. Because if you are here and you are watching and you are finding Elena's story to be in some shape or form your story, where you are given 200% and nothing you feel is at 100%, where you are caring for everyone and you don't feel like you're pouring that energy into you, when you are physically in one place and mentally in another. If this is your story, if you are in that place right now, I want to make you an invitation because, babes, it's time. I want to invite you to be a part of something greater than yourself that will give you a space to show up powerfully and show up authentically, just like Elena has and continues to do so in her life. And if that's you and you are desiring to feel like fully yourself, to show up like yourself, and to enjoy it and to sit in the confidence of being yourself, right now, we are enrolling clients for 2024. We are going to take you on the most beautiful journey back to yourself, back to the part of you that you've been yearning to experience. And we're going to do it in community. I'm going to be by your side every step of the way because I know how important this is. And I know how challenging it could be to sit in this place. And I also know what's on the other side of that. So if you feel aligned and you know that I'm the mentor for you, there is the link below this video in the description box, and you can click it to apply for an authenticity audit with me. These are 45-minute conversations. This is actually the conversation that Elena is talking about. That first convo that her and I did was an authenticity audit. I was calling it something else, but that's what that was. And we got to sit down and look at her life. We got to see what was impacting her, what was standing in the way of her desires, what led to a lot of the transformation that you're going to hear about in a few minutes. So I want to invite you to book one of those calls for yourself, apply for one of them, and let's co-create some magic in your life because the time is now and you can also have this. This isn't something that's only saved for me and saved for Elena in a special little corner. This is something that we can all tap into. And when you have the right mentorship by your side, is the inevitability. So if you know I'm your person, click on that description box below and check out the link, apply for an authenticity audit, and let's co-create some magic in your life, Miss Amores, because you are worthy of it. And everything you desire is on the other side of you seeing yourself clearly. So Elena is back. That means baby snapping for now. We'll see. So you are in this place, Elena, where you're not feeling like yourself. You're feeling stressed. You're being pulled in all these directions. I call this energy being almost like a chicken with the head cut off, where you're running around everywhere, but you don't have your hands on nothing. You're doing
Yeah,
everything, but you don't have your hands on nothing at the same time. You joined
correct.
the society. What was it like making that investment? I always like to ask that question because it is an investment and not just in the context of money. It's an investment in the context of your energy, your resources, your time. And it is a type of investment that most people that come to me, it's the first time they are investing in themselves in that way. So talk about that.
It was honestly also stressful because financially I was trying to like get around quitting a full-time job to just having my business, and the business was brand new, so I wasn't really sure would I be able to help support our family and would we be able to make enough. So then to kind of financially have to make the decision to work with you was also like, okay, but do we have enough money and can I afford to do this? And then knowing, okay, we're going to have homework and things in order to grow ourselves over the next year. It's like, do I have time for one more thing? I'm already scattered. So it was all of that. Like, is this going to just create more stress for myself with these things? And so I had to look at all of these, like you said, as an investment, and to think about it from a mindset of, if I don't do this, then I'm just going to continue being in this same situation. And could I learn these things from reading self-help books? Maybe. When am I going to find the time to do that? Like, am I disciplined enough to find a self-help book and sit down and figure out, oh, you should do these X, Y, and Z type things? No, like I'm not. And and to have someone that is able to answer questions, to guide me through what's happening, where I am in my current life situation. A book can't do that for me. And so when I was making the decision to work with you, it was really, for me, I had to look at it from where will I be if I don't work on myself and be able to grow and change and help figure out the stress and where to go in my life to not have that stressful situation. So that's sort of how I looked at it when we first decided to work together.
What I love is your honesty and your transparency. Because
I am
listen,
pretty honest. My mom has told me before, you're not a very warm and fuzzy person about like just because I'm very like, this is how I see it. So,
and I love that because I have that same. I mean, you've been working with me for a year. You know, I have that same energy too. I bring it with a little with gentleness and love when it's presented, and that's just years of doing this.
right.
That's what's brought up that love and that gentleness and giving it to myself. And at the same time, it's just one of the things I admire about you and I love about you is your ability to really just say it like it is, because we got to be able to say this shit like it is. Like all these
Mm-hmm.
things are great and we can have all this beautiful language around it. And at the end of the day, a spade is a spade. So if you know that you don't have the skill, if you know that you are not in a position where your environment can foster your success on your own, then you got to know the community is the way for you to do
Yeah.
that. And know that doing that is a sign that you are
It's
showing up for
it's
yourself.
honestly so much similar to, these people that um like if you join, oh, I want to exercise and lose weight,
Mhm.
and you're not the kind to do that in your living room at home, you've got to join a class or go to the, gym
Mhm.
or something. It's the same type mindset. Like, am I disciplined enough? Do I have the time to do this
Mhm.
on my own? No. But if I carve out a specific time, it's in
Mhm.
my planner, then I'm showing up.
And twice a month, because that's how often we meet in this calls, and we meet at that time within that time because there is quite a bit going on in our lives, and we are leaders, we have families, we have businesses, we have partners that have businesses or are building their own businesses. So how we show up is so important. Okay, so you join the society, and then what happens?
And then I really I feel like I just had a complete reframe of, I don't even know. I'm trying to even think back that long ago because I think I've changed so much that
Mhm.
I'm like, what was the very beginning? Um
Whatever's coming up for you, you can share.
it was very a lot of what we talked about, was setting boundaries and around, for me, figuring out communication. And I was doing that at the same time I did the like counseling and
Mhm.
and things. And so they went hand in hand, which was great because she was helping us with the communication, but then we were working on things that I was then able to communicate because of that. And so I think that the biggest change for me was I don't even want to say like setting the boundaries,
Mhm.
but trying to, I guess, really tell myself that I know and give myself the confidence and the permission to go ahead and make decisions and not waffle on them or
Mhm.
question myself, that I am a smart individual, that I have this confidence inside myself. And so it was that sort of like how our first call was, in 3 months, I'll make this decision, was really just procrastinating, like, what the inevitable. And we talked, and I joined, and you're like, well, what are you waiting for? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking, well, maybe I'll have a better idea of where things stand. But I knew where things stood. I knew I was stressful. It had been that way. And so we made the decision. And so I think that's the really the beginning thing for me, was telling myself, you can make decisions. You can make decisions. And that's it.
You, and it sounds so like quote unquote obvious, right? And when you sit with that, you realize like I've actually haven't really felt as confident about my decisions in some ways. Or I felt the need to consult with people. And you mentioned people pleasing earlier, and I'm familiar with that energy. I've talked a lot about how much I've been releasing and I've done to release the energy of people pleasing. And it comes up. It comes up.
It really does, because even things like, oh, I'm going to buy, and not that you shouldn't research, or, I'm not the type that's going to be like, oh, I quit my job today. Like, it's not that, but it's the not taking 3 months to make a decision, or, oh, I'm buying this car. Oh, is that the right one? Is that the exact
Mhm.
shade of gray I want? Like, it's just like, yeah, this has good mileage. It's a good car. It's got a good report. Let's do it. Like, making these decisions
Mhm.
quickly. And that for me has really released so much
Mm.
anxiety around in my life, because I don't, I was mentioning at the beginning how mentally I was in 25 different places at the same time. And it's just like you hear people say, like, a woman's mind is like an open browser with 100 tabs open. That is how my mind is. And so when I have all these decisions, small ones, what's for dinner, big ones, should I
Mhm.
quit my job, they're all open all the time. And so giving myself that permission to just make a decision over what I was confident I could
Mhm.
decide, shut some of those tabs down, and allowed me more breathing room. I was able to relax in myself more. Um, and then by doing that, I gained so much confidence in myself. So
Yes,
it
yes.
was that was the beginning.
Yes. And you know what? Let's jump into the transformations because you alluded to them a little earlier. So I'm gonna do a quick, I'm gonna say quick, but I'm gonna ask you some questions on some areas to like help you dive deep. So let's start with you because you were also, let's not forget, because y'all might have forgotten this. She was an entire pregnant person this entire time. So like for most of the time that
Since
we were working
November, yeah, I
together.
guess since November last year.
Yep,
Yeah,
you were expecting until Blythe was born
in
this
August.
year.
Yep,
So
yep.
how do you shift with yourself after your time in society? What were some of the changes you started to make with you? How you were treating Elena, how you were showing up to Elena? What were some of the things that you have changed that really stand out for you?
I think what I really changed was not not overcommitting myself to others, and trying to, well, I guess I'm trying to think how to word it, but I really feel like, just for me to change myself, I had to change the way I was speaking to myself. And I was never like a negative, super negative, or anything like that, but just more telling myself that I was confident that my opinion mattered, that it didn't always have to be the right decision, because like you had mentioned, I think even though I came across as confident, underneath I really wasn't as comfortable or confident in myself as I would like to have been. And so once I realized that, it really helped me change in what I allowed myself to do as far as, activities, and, what friends, like, do I want more friendships with? And was I just overcommitting to all the play dates for my kids because that's, what you do? Or do I really only want to plan play dates with the people we have a core connection with? And so it really was mind opening, I think, for me to just make that shift of telling myself that I am enough, but that I can make hard decisions.
Yes. I love that. I love
I don't
that
know if any of
combination.
that made sense,
It
but
all makes sense to the right person, to the person that's watching this and it's like, I'm in that place. I know what that feels like. They are getting it because that energy of I am enough to make hard decisions. It is a really powerful energy for us, especially people that feel like people see us and they're like, oh my God, you're so confident and everything is going so great. And underneath, you're like, I don't know how I'm doing half of these things that y'all
yeah,
keep on asking about.
you almost feel like you're just like drowning, and people
Yes.
only see like
Yes.
what's here, above the
Yes.
surface. And
Yes.
even now, like, I have friends that will say to me, well, I have a ladies' night that I go to at a friend's house once a month, and I usually take, one or two homemade snacks. And they're like, how do you have a job and four kids and you're bringing homemade snacks and you're doing this? And I'm just like, but I just do it. And so I just do. And so it is nice that they recognize, as
Mhm.
other mothers in this same sort of
Mhm.
situation, they realize here's all the things pulling at
Mhm.
us, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that they have that same sort of energy, like that you're just, you have so many things.
Mhm.
um but really I feel so calm that, to make another snack is not that big of a deal. Like, it's
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. And you are a possibility for them.
Mm-hmm.
That even though they have all those things going on, they could have that peace where doing the things that you are doing are more of a possibility if that's something that they desire. How has being a member of the Self Society supported you in your marriage and as a mother?
So in my marriage, I have definitely been able to communicate my desires better, with my husband, just as far as like delegating tasks. Whereas I would be previously stressed when, this thing wasn't getting done, or this, or even when I'm irritated that he's having to do the dishes, I'm now able to explain, rather than me just having this like fuming underlying like stress that things didn't get done, irritated that he had to do it. I am, again, because of being able to make that and speak to myself in a way that I'm enough and I can make these hard decisions, then now I am able to articulate to him what I need done in order for us to have time as a family. So it's not just all on me. I'm able to feel like, because of saying this to myself, I'm enough, and giving myself time to be myself and not just the wife or the mom or anything. I'm sort of able to carve more time out for myself, or even just doing things as a family. So before, it might be that, okay, I'm working and I got to pick kids up and make dinner, and that laundry needs to be done. Now I can say to everyone in the family, hey, if we want to play a game, or if we want to play outside or whatever, we all have tasks. These are the things that need to be done, and we're able to all pitch in. And it doesn't make me feel like a failure anymore of not getting the dishes done, because now we're all doing them. And these are the things, I guess the society has helped me to better see what I want from life, like that end result of that what I desired was family time. And so in figuring out, well, how do I get that time together, means I've got to spend less time on doing household chores. And so now we all work together to get those done, to have the time together. So really, that communication has been the key thing. And and I think too, being able to say that I need time for myself to be a person. So, and I think I'm still progressing in this, but for an example, with my husband working a lot of nights and weekends, then of course the kids are in school. So the weekends was our main time that they'd have off. And so if it would be a day that my husband wasn't working on a weekend, I would almost feel guilty for wanting to do something for me on a weekend, because, well, that's the only opportunity we're going to have as a family. But what I've been working on during this last year is giving myself permission to just do things for me. And so sometimes that's not just me. It may be my daughter and I, like one-on-one time together, and just having time. I guess what I'm trying to say is recognizing that the society has helped me recognize that in order to be the person that I want to be, I have to give myself time as well, and not just be in these roles for others.
I love it. And I love the baby in the background, because this is real talk. Like, it is important that we are exposed to the reality of life, because it's very easy to want things to be perfect. And when we are able to have these conversations as women that are parents, because Alina has kids, I have a son, and sometimes your baby gonna be on video. Sometimes
Yep.
your baby gonna be in the background crying. Sometimes your baby gonna be doing something like that. And the very older version of myself, and maybe older version of yourself, could be like, "Oh my God, this is like the worst. I really plan on this to be in a quiet time, and I'm after around nap time, so that he could be like this." And part of what we are able to co-create and cultivate in the subject society is the ability to be like, "Girl, the baby is here."
Yep. Like, and you know what's funny is that my husband, he does a lot of like Zoom calls and things like this for work, and he will be that way. Oh, like, have the baby, like the baby needs to be quiet. I'm like, people have babies, like it is what it is, like this is
Mhm.
not the first baby people have heard, and that's
And it
how
ain't
it
gonna be the last. And it ain't gonna be the last. I love that you talked about the power in carving that time for yourself, Elena, because I'm familiar with that energy too, where a weekend there are 10 activities that have been planned. Now, one activity is Nori's space to recharge, Nori's
Nope.
space to rest, Nori's space to refresh, Nori's space to go by the walk by herself and see how she feels. Not one of those things, because everything is so mapped out for everybody else.
I'm telling you, this past weekend, I, I've got 3 kids that are play date age. I planned 7 play date activities from Friday after school until Saturday night, and including a sleepover. And I'm just like, nothing was there for me. Hold on, let me grab
Go
her.
ahead. I love this raw moment that we are all having, y'all. This is a good time to grab some water for you, because this is what it's like. This is what it's like to be an icon. This is what it's like to show up powerfully. It means being open to what God has with you. And today we're co creating this moment where we are experiencing authenticity. We're experiencing all the things. And that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here to enjoy. And we got another little one with us. Hi. My favorite thing about working with my clients is seeing their kids show up, because these are the faces that we are really transforming. These are the faces that we're really changing and shifting. These are the things that we are completely turning around by choosing to put ourselves first. We are much better at pouring into them because we pour into ourselves. How is it? Are we still being snippy with the babies?
Yeah, they're getting over a cold, and I don't know, not
Mhm.
doing nap time, thrown off schedule today.
And that's okay.
Yep.
One thing that you mentioned earlier was how you used to show up to your kids and being snippy with them. And you talked about this in the society quite a bit too throughout the year, around how much that drives you to shift your behavior and to be present so that you can show up in the way that you want to. How is that going now? A year later, how are we showing up to the children?
It's definitely still like everything in life. You're still working on it and growing. I would say it is, it's definitely so much better. We're more relaxed. I can tell, like, I have been in here working, and my husband has not been. And his energy is more where I used to be. And so
Mm,
I can see that from, kind of like this, like, I'm over here observing how he is. And so it really is eye opening to see, was this how I was a year ago, where I'm,
mhm,
yelling more, and and my kids are good kids. It's just when you have that energy inside you that
mhm,
is frustration, and
mhm,
it's got to come out somewhere,
mhm,
and that's how it comes out, is yelling and irritation with the
mhm,
people you're closest to. um, I can really tell it is so much less now.
mhm,
There are times, but it may be once a month that I'm like, okay, I've told you 20 times to do this. I've asked nicely. I've offered solutions. I've done this. Like, so I do more to prevent that
mhm.
frustration coming up.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the first thing that comes out of my mouth anymore.
I just want to celebrate you. Where my fan at? Yeah, I know I like to bring my fan out. I just want to celebrate you, Elena, for that, because I know how important that was for you. And I also know the level of attention and intention that goes into showing up differently. Because in that moment, girl, Sage was in the kitchen yesterday tugging on me while I'm cooking something for him because he's so hungry. And I made that decision in that moment to say, how are we going to navigate this? If you're hungry, let's grab a snack and let's give you the snack. And then let's go with daddy while I cook your food. And
Mhm.
being able to just see him show up and be like, Okay. Like not be treated and scolded over it for his humanity, and just see him be loved is something that it just hits so different, because that's not the way that I was raised, and I know that that's not the way that you were raised as well, not in that specific way. So like I just celebrate you so much for what you're doing, because these children and the people that they come into contact with, and especially the newest one, Blythe, who's she's getting this mom from the beginning.
Hmm.
Like, how is that? How does that, like, what brings you joy about the changes you've made in your life so far?
I think that really just the being able to make this job change in order to spend more time with my children and family is the biggest, because I had I've had her, and she's 3 months old, and about 6 weeks ago had the opportunity to go back to work in the office, and really had to evaluate if that was something that I wanted to do again. And I I did take time to make that decision, but it I didn't feel rushed in making that choice anymore. Like previously, I would have been so stressed, and oh, I've got to decide, and I have to decide right now. And I just told myself, you don't. It's balls in my court. It's an open kind of conversation. I have this opportunity, and really was able to look at my life and my values and desires in order to make this decision, and to know that for me, what I wanted was, and where I am in my life right now, is more family time and having these connections with my kids, to know that I am in a place that I don't have to put my newborn in daycare, to where I was feeling guilty, guilty that she's at a daycare, and that I'm not there, and all is just makes me feel so. It's hard to put words on emotions like that, where I guess it's almost where you feel proud of yourself for being able to see what it is that I want, and that I am comfortable in those decisions, that my children have grown because they feel more carefree. They're not as they're not having to go to a daycare, so I'm home with them more. We're getting more one-on-one time together and conversations because we have this flexibility. So I think that's really where we have grown as, like, with the children, is just changing um, how we talk to each other. And I'm, always like, are you being kind to yourself, to others? Because even though um, I think even though I have changed and I'm not really giving off that same energy anymore, they they are kind of stressed. They've had long days at school, and they come home and they're snippy with each other because they haven't been that way at school. And so we're sort of changing that, and each monitoring one another on, like, where is your energy, because these people should be the ones that are supporting you the most, um and being kind and loving towards one another. And so to see all of my kids trying to treat one another that way is what I really have enjoyed.
I'm muted. I'm muted. I'm here like off screen, drying the tears hearing you talk about it, because when you have kids, this type of stuff just hits so differently. And when you do the type of unearthing that we do in the subject society, where we are looking at the child version of ourselves and what we were desiring from our parents and what we want to give into our kids, I just know what it's like to not feel like a free child. I just know what it's like to not have that core in my own immediate family. So it just means so much to me that not only are we able to help create an environment where this happens, but that I'm also able to have moments where we can have this conversation and you can share that. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people don't, and I'm just really grateful for you because every single member of the Subject Society this year has been such a gift to the container. And when I sit with you and what I admire about you, it's your commitment to I'm gonna show up for myself. I'm gonna show up for these kids. And I'm also gonna find that medium with my partner in a way that we can do it joyfully and peacefully. And that's what JP and I are committed to. So I really applaud you. You can feel proud, girl. You can feel proud of everything you've done for yourself this year. Allow
It's been
yourself
a
to
lot. I
feel
am proud. It's been a lot.
on all of the icon energy you've been sitting on this year because you have done what's required to tap into it. Before we close out, Elena, I like to ask two final questions. The first one is for you to what message would you give to the past version of yourself that was considering making this investment? And then the second question is going to be what message do you give to the future version of yourself that is going to look back at this moment and reflect on that? So you can go ahead and do you want to take a moment or you feel ready?
I feel ready.
All right, go.
I feel like both messages are almost the same. Is just to I guess the past version, I would say to really look into yourself and what your values and desires for your future and your family are, and you'll be able to make decisions pretty easily. And I would say almost the same thing for the future would be by looking at those values, look how much your life has grown even in just this past year, how much it has grown, and it can only continue to move forward in the direction of an abundant life with your family, gaining these same principles and values and having just such a good energy to um, really be, as I tell my kids, a team, that we're a team in this life together. And that's what I would tell my future self, is that if you hadn't done this program, then you may still be in a stressful environment where no one in your family communicates with one another. And so now you have done this program and been able to change yourself. And as because of that, and changing your whole family and growing together.
That is so beautiful. I love it so much. Elena, what would you tell the person that's watching and is considering joining the Self Society, that's considering going in this journey and may have some of the questions that you had, having gone through what you've gone through and experienced it and seen it on the other side? What kind of message would you leave with that person?
I think the message that I would say is that for me, from a financial standpoint, it was a consideration. Is this something that I am going to am I going to get my money's worth out of it? Like that's what so many decisions are based off of. Is this couch worth it? Is the car going to function for as many years as I need? Is it worth the money? Um, can I put the time into it? And so my message would be yes, that I was hesitant at first, but even after the first session, just seeing how quickly you are able to change and how much support you get from the community and having people that are going through this journey, that they may be at different stages than you, which is great because they're able to remember where they were one time. And so having that support from Nori and JP and others is so helpful, and it's just supportive. It's well worth it. To me, it is definitely well worth the financial aspect of a program like this and growing yourself.
Elena said it. Elena said everything that needs to be said today. I just want to thank you for the past 12 months. It feels like it was yesterday you and I were chatting. It was really the end of the month, but it feels like it was yesterday. And I'm thrilled for you and what's coming next in your life and the lives of these babies that you're raising with your partner, because y'all are doing the work. Y'all are doing the uncomfortable work of talking through these things, sitting with each other. In 20 years in the game, one may think, what else is to say after 20 years?
Right.
But if you haven't been asking the questions that we are asking, there's a lot to be said in the next 20 years. So I am excited for you and him and just everything that's unfolding in your life, because who you are today is not the person you were before. And that's what I love about the Soft Society, is that you come as you are and you will not leave as you came. And you are the embodiment of that 1,000%. So Elena, thank you so much. Y'all, you already know what to do. If this felt this felt good in your heart, if you felt aligned, there is a link. Click to book an authenticity audit and let's create some magic together and go do your thing. We gonna let Elena go because she got babies and things that she gotta do, and she got herself to take a moment for. So I appreciate you being here, icons. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the other side. Hasta luego.
Bye.